What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all very much for tuning in. Really appreciate each and every one of you. It's your boy Matty B, and for today's video, we're going to do a preview for Round 7 of AMA Supercross and the Super Motocross World Championship that's going down in Arlington, Texas this weekend. And could we have a possible no whoops national? Maybe, maybe not. Find out later in the video, but in today's video, we'll get into the start of the 250 East Region Series. I already did an in-depth preview, but we'll go over the entry list and see which riders I missed, as I've seen several names that I overlooked, and we even have a star Yamaha rookie making his pro debut in Supercross. Then we'll talk about Jorge Prado and how he's unfortunately out for this weekend and maybe for the immediate future. We'll get into the title picture for the ultra-competitive 450 class, the return of the Triumph 450 team being back in action, and then of course our track preview, track breakdown, our MX Simulator virtual POV lap, and my predictions for what I think is going down this weekend for Round 7 in Arlington. And I almost forgot to tell you guys, I'll actually be in attendance to watch it all go down. I might even get to watch all my predictions go up in flames in person. But before we get into all those topics, got to give a huge thank you and a shout out to all my channel sponsors, because they're the ones who make all this happen. They're the reason I can get to go to Supercrosses and make all these trips and go to all these races, so please guys, go check them out. Huge thank you to ASV Inventions, home of the Unbreakable Lever, Sirius Studio, who can take care of all your merch needs, and the DesignLabCo.com. They got some great designs in their lab at their co, and if you need graphics, look no further than there. I have links and discount codes in my video description, and if you guys buy from them, a small portion of the sale goes to me to help keep us going, so if you're supporting them, you are literally supporting me. And also, I'm doing the TV announcing for the GT Arena Cross Series on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2 with Daniel Blair. Here's the airing schedule. Would really appreciate it if you guys would tune in. Not only will entertainment be guaranteed in your contract, but it'll also help me keep my job. But thank you guys again for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Alrighty, ladies and gents, to start off today's video, we're going to get into a little bit about the 250 East class, just a few of the top storylines, and then we'll go through the entry list as it's starting up this weekend. And man, I am so excited to get a new series fired up after all the Hayden Deegan domination we've seen on the West Coast. I already did a full in-depth preview video for the East Coast, so if you guys haven't seen it yet and you want to check it out, I would really appreciate that. But coming into this thing, my two favorites are Cole Davies and Seth Hammaker. We all know how special Davies was last year, and we all know how damn close Seth Hammaker was to a championship last year, so I feel like those two are the top dogs coming into this thing. Joe Shimoda is my main X factor, because if he was coming into this thing with full prep, then he would possibly be my favorite, but he's just coming back from the broken neck. Honestly, it's a complete shocker that he's even racing, and I am incredibly interested to see how it goes for Joe. Something tells me he'll still be really good, because I don't really think the team would even bother with him racing and coming back so soon if he couldn't win, but stay tuned to how Joe Shimoda turns up on race day. Then there's Nate Thrasher. He's another one of the outside title picks for me. It could be tough for him considering his trouble with consistency, but he's almost always good for a win or two, so I'm sure we'll see that in his contract. And yeah, there's so many more contenders in this thing. I could talk all day, but we got guys like Dax Bennick, Pierce Brown, Cody Schock, Drew Adams, Jalik Swoll, Devin Simonson, Luke Clout, Cullen Park, and so many more. Those are most of my main guys to watch for heading into this thing. I'm sure I missed a few of them. I really hope whoever I missed proves me wrong. Would love to see it, but now let's get into the entry list for Round 1 of East in Arlington. And leading the way, we got the 10 of Seth Hammaker, then Cody Schock, Nate Thrasher, Joe Shimoda, Drew Adams, Cole Davies, Valentin Guillot, Cullen Park, Henry Miller, Jalik Swoll, Daxton Bennick, but we will not have his teammate Casey Cochran, who was just announced he broke his collarbone this week. Son of a gun, I'm so bummed. Get well soon, Casey. But then we'll have Money Marshall Welton, Gavin Towers, Derek Kelly, Bryce Shelley, Caden Dudney, Jeremy Hand, Devin Simonson, Isaiah Clark, Luke Neese, Luke Clout, Marcus Phelps, Evan Stice, Kyler Hawkey, Colin Allen, David Pulley, trust the process, baby, Russell Bucheri, Jackson Driscoll, Hayes Edwards, Kyle Peters is back, Aiden Dickens, Pierce Brown, Luca Marsalisi, Ashton Aruda, Hamden Hudson, Logan Riggins, Carter Malcolm, Gage Stein, Ryder Floyd, Jonathan Getz, Vinny Luhovi, Doc Smith, Brighton Carroll, Landon Hartz, holy crap we got riders, Jace Kessler, Tony Yusko, Evan Ferry, CJ Bernard, Braden Ellerman, Riley Ripper, he'll be ripping, and then Noah Viney. And wow, like the West Coast, they haven't even really been able to fill the gate for the night show, but when it comes to the East Coast, we got riders, just like Flying Taco always says, but the East Coast is always packed with privateers. This year's no different, and I cannot wait to get 250 East fired up. I already said it once, but I'll say it again. I think it's going to be a banger. Next topic of conversation is a bit of an unfortunate one, as Jorge Prado is out for Arlington and maybe the immediate future. Not really sure yet. They didn't announce how long he's out for. They just said Arlington for now, but gosh, what a massive bummer. A true Cinderella story turned into a true Cinderella story in Seattle, because as great as Jorge has looked so far in Supercross this year, it came to an abrupt halt in Seattle as he flew a little bit too close to the sun and had a big crash. He was sending it while that happened. He was identifying as a piece of mail, but unfortunately he crashed, injured the same shoulder he had surgery on last year. And Jorge has looked so unbelievably comfortable and confident this year in Supercross so far, and in my opinion, that's exactly what bit him. He was on top of the world, almost a second faster than everyone in qualifying in Seattle on a Gnarls Barkley track, and he tried doing something insane. A wild line that did not end up working out and penciled a big crash into his contract. The video was blurry, but it looked like he tried to wheelie over the rutted jump face after the finish line. There's a reason nobody else tried that. It's insane. That's how comfy Jorge was, though. I think he probably thought he could do pretty much anything until he found out he couldn't. And this is the one thing we all didn't want to see out of Jorge, because even after all the negative things I said about him last year after his Budds Creek DNQ and quitting on Kawasaki, I've still thoroughly enjoyed having the real Jorge back this year and seeing him run up front and do badass things on a dirt bike. I can't say it enough. The sport is always better when the top guys are firing. And while I have been beyond pleasantly surprised by his Supercross riding, I'm really looking forward to seeing him in outdoors more than anything. I truly think that if this healthy, comfy, and confident Jorge shows up outdoors, then we could maybe see an epic knockdown, drag-out title fight between he and Jet. Call me crazy, but that's how good I think this dude is, and that's why I was so damn pissed off last year. But I'll be a monkey's uncle if he hasn't turned it around. Still not a huge fan of how he handled adversity last year, but I am a massive fan of his riding and technique on the bike. It's so fun to watch. So yeah, with all that being said, get well soon, Jorge, and by soon, I mean at least in time for outdoor prep. Next up, let's talk about the title picture for the 450 class right now, as it's looking like it's starting to boil down to a three-man fight with a fourth and a fifth man on the outside looking in, and the fifth guy might even be the most dangerous of them all if he gets it together. But at the moment, for me, the title's down to Tomac, Hunta, and Webb, with Kenny tied with Webb in points, but he's a little bit further out of it, in my opinion, just due to his struggles with maintaining the same level for 17 rounds. And then the fifth man, further on the outside looking in, being Chase Sexton, and it's actually pretty insane that he's still somehow only 18 points down. It seemed like he's been losing points every single weekend, but he's somehow just staying around that 18-point mark every single weekend, and in my opinion, if Chase catches fire, then he's the most likely out of all these five to go on a run and string together some wins in a row, but things have kind of almost seemed to get worse for him in terms of he and his bike setup, so he's really running out of time, and I don't want to do this, but I'm all but taking Chase out of title contention at this point unless he shows up in Arlington with a massive improvement. So for me, it's pretty much down to Tomac, Hunta, and Webb, and my two main guys that I think have the best chance are Tomac and Webb, but I say that, but Hunta has given us way too many great rides in a row to count him out and not think he's for real. The only thing that he doesn't really have going for him right now is A, he hasn't won a race yet, and B, he's never been in a 450 Supercross title fight down the stretch, and both Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb have done it multiple times. You can't buy experience, so no shot. I'm not writing off Hunter Lawrence for the championship, but I still just think the favorites are Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb. I think Tomac will be a better story for it and a fan favorite win since he's at the end of the career. He's still crushing it even after the team switch, and he's just such a legend. But I kind of just can't help but think Cooper Webb still has everybody right where he wants them. Tomac's been faster and has been better in pretty much every category so far this year, but we're about to head east, and that's kind of Cooper Webb's playground. He'll be turning down early and jumping whoops. It'll be in his favor very soon, possibly starting next weekend. And Tomac's also bringing a new bike to venues he's never raced it at before, where Cooper Webb, he's on a tried and true championship winning machine that he raced last year and won on last year. So all in all, I kind of feel like the current trends are pointing to this being Tomac's title, but I think history leans in Cooper Webb's favor. But at the end of the day, all this leans in our favor as fans. Hopefully this thing goes down to the wire and we have to wait till the final lap at the Salt Lake City finale to find out who the champ will be. And then our last topic before the track breakdown and the predictions is the Triumph 450 team will be back in commission this weekend. I thought it was going to be both Austin Forkner and Jordan Smith returning from injuries in Arlington, but now that I've consulted the entry list and reread the press release, maybe I made it up in my head that Forkner would be back, but it appears he's still out for this weekend. But Jordan Smith will be making his 450 debut after a shoulder surgery in the offseason. Smith was supposed to be the main 450 rider for Triumph all along, but that surgery threw the program for the loop, so they had no choice but to draft in 250 rider Austin Forkner to initially just race the first 6 rounds until he would drop back down for the 250E series. At least that's what I thought the plan was supposed to be, but it seems like that plan has kind of been thrown out the window, and it's been reported that Forkner will now stay on the 450 for the remainder of the Supercross series when he does return from injury. Not sure how much of that choice is his and how much of that is the team's, and while I am a huge fan and friend of both of these guys, they're great dudes, I'm just a little bit perplexed by the strategy that the Triumph team is taking here. Both Forkner and Smith would be race winners or title contenders on the 250. Why put them on the 450 just to be another guy? And please don't get it twisted. I do not mean just another guy in a bad way at all. The guys in the 450 class that are, quote, just another guy are all former 250 race winners and champions. My main point is the 450 class is just a straight dog-eat-dog insanity national. I would think it would be better for the brand to be getting on the podium or winning and getting that TV time regardless of what class it's in, but I say that. You guys know how many brands I'm in charge of? 0. So what do I know? Not much actually, but while Triumph may be pulling a bold strategy cotton, I am rooting for Forkner and Smith to have solid remainders of the seasons and just have some good runs of health so they can build into what they're trying to do in the 450 class. Good luck, boys. And now let's get into our track preview, track breakdown for round 7 here in Arlington. How crazy is this? A Supercross with no whoops? Like, seriously? Nah, just kidding. That was the original track map, but they modified it. They put a set of hoops in there, a set of coffins, but let's get underway. Everything's bigger in Texas, except for this track. I feel like there are always shorter lap times in this stadium, but we got the start right down the middle into a right-handed first corner this time, a nice sweeper to the right into our first rhythm section, a short one. I think it might just be a 2-3-1 or maybe a 2-2-2 off the start with everybody bunched up and all together. Or maybe even roll in, step on, step off, single into the corner. I don't know. The combos are endless. Not really. But then we got our first bull corner, a 180 to the left, and then another rhythm section, back-to-back rhythm sections right off the start. And this is a longer one. I think the main combo, the best line is probably going to be a triple in over that 5-footer triple landing, then a triple again, triple one more time, and then single into the corner. Or maybe you could quad into the corner. It is a 5-footer over 3 3-footers, so that would be a big send. But I think those would be the fast lines. Maybe the 250s have a little bit more trouble getting over that 3 in out of that corner, so maybe they would go 2, 3, 3, and then 2 one more time into this right-handed 180 bull corner. This is the straightaway that got changed. There was no whoops on the straightaway. It was just a rhythm section into a Supercross triple. Now, out of this bull corner, you got a 3-5-3 triple. Definitely going to be a crucial seat balance, especially for those 250 guys, because you're going to need all the momentum you can carry into these whoops. And on the map, we've actually got more than 9, so maybe we'll finally see them venture out a little bit and give us a couple extra whoops in the contract. That could be interesting. Might affect the jump line. Might see some guys getting loose towards the end. I don't know, but I'm just excited to see maybe whoops making a little bit of a comeback here. But a little bit of a bummer. After the whoops, it's a flat right-handed sweeper. Usually it's cool to see a bull corner or something where you can make a block pass where people can make a run in the whoops, get alongside, and then pass in the next corner. With it being a flat corner afterwards, that's going to make that a little bit harder. But the best guys will figure it out. That's what makes them the best guys. But then out of that sweeping flat corner, then you got a little pop double into the finish line, basic yacht. Back across the start straight, a little single into another 180 bull corner to the left. A single out of that corner, launch backwards onto the start straight, wide open, get through the gears, and then hard on the binders. Then you're into another one of these corners where the berm doesn't quite start until halfway through, so I'm thinking that's probably going to make it pretty single file entering. Everyone's probably going to stay tight just to cover it. And what this little half berm will also do is make it a little bit tougher to get into this next rhythm section, but I'm thinking this long rhythm section here, the good line's probably going to be a step on, step off again, so that'll be fun to watch. It's always tricky to see the on, offs. But I think they go on, off, and then triple, double into the corner. Depending on how hard that on, off will be, maybe they'll go step over the tabletop and then table over single, triple, then double into the corner. Maybe even a step over the tabletop and then a quad, triple, single. I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, but then we're into another one of these double 90 right-handers, which I don't really like. We got a 90 to the right, a small double, and then another 90 to the right, so I don't really see much going down right through there. But out of the second 90, you got one of these little shelf things. You could either go step on, step off, or maybe you could step over the shelf and then double across the first corner. That'll sit you back into this first rhythm section right off the start. But if you step over the shelf, I think you could go step over and then double across the start, triple, then double into the corner. The other line could be step on, step off, and then rip across the start straight, double, triple, single. But like I always tell you guys every week, you never really know just based off the track map. It all kind of depends on how they build it once they get there and how the dirt's forming and all that kind of stuff. But that's a lap around Arlington for round 7. Now we're going to get into our virtual POV lap via MX Simulator. And I think the track's a little bit off. I'm saying this before I've even played it, but I believe they made the sim track way before they made these revisions to the track map. So forgive me if it's not perfect, but here we go. Time to get sketchy. And last but not least, the most fun part of the video, my predictions for what I think is going down this weekend in Arlington. And for the 250 East class, I'm going to take some serious swings at this thing because I feel like the 250 East openers are always just insane, crazy action. You can never really predict the results. It's just always what you least expect. So I'm going to go out on some limbs for this one. I'm going to go for a surprise opener win for Dax Bennick on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. He's an opening round killer, always crushes it at him, and everybody's been talking about how he's been ripping and flying at the test track. So I've got Dax Bennick coming out for a shocker win. Then I'm going to go with Nate Thrasher for second. You never know with Nate. He could get second or 22nd, but I might as well have just flipped a coin and picked him second. But if he's on, he'll definitely be a factor. And then I've got Seth Hamaker, one of my title favorites in the third spot. You know, like I said, I think this East region start's going to be pretty crazy. So hopefully Seth just gets it on the podium. Solid points night and gets himself in a good championship position to fight for this thing down the stretch. But I am predicting absolute chaos in the 250 East. It's been like that for the last several years, so I don't really see why it would be different this year. But then in the 450 class, a little bit calmer, a little bit more back to normalcy, but I'm going to go with Hunter Lawrence for the win. I mean, dude's just got to be bound to get one. I picked him a couple weeks ago. He came up just short, and while he did absolutely smash Kenny all the way back to Germany last week, hopefully that was a big mistake out of the way, and I just feel like it's got to be coming. So I've got Hunter Lawrence for the win. I've got him battling Cooper Webb for it down to the stretch. The dude is the king of Arlington. I had a hard time not picking him for the win, but I just feel like Hunter's got to be due to pop at some point. And then rounding out the podium in the 3 spot, I've got Eli Tomac. Not quite a beast mode night, but the dude's just trying to get a championship run in. I think it's going to be a solid points night, a consistent night, a smart night. I think the track's going to be super Gnarls Barkley and break down a lot, so we might see a smart ride out of the vet in third, but we might not see any of that. I might not have a clue of even what I'm talking about, but yeah. That's all I got for you guys for today's video. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, as always. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, if you liked it, if you agreed with my takes, if you disagreed, if the video sucked, if I'm just a cooked unit idiot, or anything in between. There's been a lot of cooked unit idiot comments lately, and I've been getting a pretty good kick out of them, so please keep them coming. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. No choice.